You missed a spot. His voice cut through the quiet like a bad note in a symphony. Jake always had something to say when I passed his post. I didn't even look up. Just kept mopping. Yo, man, he called louder. You deaf now, Noah? I turned the mop in a slow, practiced arc, like the floor mattered more than his noise. Laughter bubbled behind me. Two guys in suits, passing by like I was a walking caution sign. One of them muttered, "Why does he always eavesdrop around?" Here, I kept my eyes on the tile. People say things when they think you clean floors instead of understand them. Then Jake went for the classic, that he can't even spell MBA. Lena, behind the reception desk, shifted in her chair. I saw her glance at me, then away like guilt was an itch she didn't want to scratch. I said nothing. But in my head the sentence formed clean, sharp, elegant. G pari q to ni pomim. Pa lyrici q to vings de dire. Their laughter drowned out the silence I wanted to wrap myself in. I didn't speak. Not because I didn't have the words, but because I knew they wouldn't hear them even if I screamed. I learned early not to correct people when they see your skin first. It's safer that way. Hey, Lena, Jake called out, still writing. The wave of his own joke. You ever see him read anything but trashy tabloids? She didn't answer. I felt her eyes linger again. I wondered what she saw, a mop, a uniform, or a man keeping every piece of himself stitched quiet. Jake leaned closer, lowered his voice just enough. Think he even knows why we laugh? I finally turned toward him. Just a little, he smirked. Relax, Noah, just messing with you. I didn't smile. Instead, I stared at him, let the silence stretch until it bit. He didn't like that. His grin faltered. That's the thing about people like Jake? They want your laugh, your nod, your bow, your quiet agreement that they're still in control. I gave him none of it. I dipped the mop back into the bucket, squeezed it slow, and dragged it over the tiles again. Lena cleared her throat. Jake, don't you have rounds? He waved her off. 5 minutes won't kill the security budget. Another suit passed by. A woman this time. She smiled politely at me, not warm, not cold, just distant. Like I was something she was trained to acknowledge but never understand. As the elevator painted open, Jake finally wandered off, still chuckling to himself. The silence that followed was loud. I kept cleaning. Lena stood and walked over. Noah. I looked at her. I'm sorry, she said quietly. That was expected. I cut in, not angry, just tired. Don't apologize for a room you didn't build. She didn't know what to say. They rarely do. She looked down, then back at me. You shouldn't have to put up with that. I almost laughed. Put up with was such a clean way of saying survive while staying invisible. They see what they want, I said. What's easy? What do you see? She asked softly. Everything they hope I don't. She blinked. I picked up the mop again. The floor was clean. But I kept moving, because sometimes it's not about dirt, it's about the space you're allowed to exist in. And the parts of you they don't want to see. The elevator doors opened like a dare. I stepped in with my cart, kept to the corner, and pressed B2. I knew I wouldn't be alone for long. 3 pairs of footsteps. The clack of shoes that cost more than my week's pay. 2 interns, one with a badge that read Arjun and the other, Claire. The third voice was older, smoother. Mr. Harlow, the CEO. He gave a polite nod as he stepped in. Not at me, through me, Arjun smirked. Bet you this guy's never even left the state. Claire chuckled under her breath, probably thinking I didn't hear. I did, I always do. I kept my eyes forward. Don't react, don't blink, don't feed. The fire. The elevator hummed. Floor 21, I spoke, soft but clear. Actually, Shanghai winters are colder than this. Arjun turned, confused. What? Shanghai? I repeated. Gets down to -4. The wind there bites harder too. Claire blinked. Wait, what? Mr. Harlow looked at me for the first time. You've been to Shanghai? He asked. I nodded. Lived there, a little while. In what capacity? His voice tightened. Like the question had barbs. I paused, measured it. Interpreter, medical conference staff. He looked down at my mop. Then back up, slower this time. You speak Mandarin? He asked. I met his gaze. Among others, Arjun shifted. So, what you Like study languages or something? I shrugged. I studied being unheard. Language just gave me options. Claire leaned closer to Arjun, whispered loud enough for me to catch it anyway. What else don't we know? Mr. Harlow folded his arms, watching me now like a misplaced file he forgot he needed. I wasn't trying to impress them. I was trying. Not to disappear, they stared like I'd tricked them. Like fluency came with permission slips. You work down in maintenance, right? Claire asked, voice gentler now. Facilities, I replied. Officially. Unofficially, I'm where people stop looking. The elevator beeped. Floor 12. Mr. Harlow cleared his throat. How many languages? Enough to understand when I'm being spoken over. No one laughed. I didn't mean it like that, Arjun said. I didn't reply. Silence did the job. For me. Mr. Harlow turned to him. You assume a lot. Arjun tried to recover. I mean, we all just joked. We weren't trying to. Don't finish that sentence, Mr. Harlow cut in, tone flat. You're interning here to listen, not to label. Claire's face flushed red. She looked at me like she saw a mirror she didn't ask for. I'm sorry, she said. That was ignorant. I've heard worse, I said, but it still bruises. Floor 3. Silence hung heavier now. The elevator slowed. Mr. Harlow's voice softened. What else do you speak? Depends, I said. French when I want to be left alone. Arabic when I need precision. Spanish when I need warmth. And English when I'm pretending not to. Notice, he didn't smile, but he nodded. The doors slid open. They stepped out. I stayed behind. Right before the doors closed again, Claire looked back. Thanks for reminding us. I didn't respond. Not with words. I just stood there. Visible. For once, I was pushing my cart past conference room C when I heard my name. Not. The whole thing, just the janitor. Can we use the janitor? Myra's voice. I paused, right outside the door. Right outside their glass walls and whiter walls beyond that. I kept quiet. There's no time to onboard anyone new, Harlow said. The French rep lands tomorrow. Well, Myra pressed. He did say he speaks French, fluently. I stepped in, slowly. You could have just asked me. Their heads? Turned. Myra flinched a little. Harlow didn't blink. He leaned back in his chair. You overheard? No, I listened. My hands gripped the cart tighter. Big difference. Harlow's tone was flat. We've got a multi-million-euro deal on the line. Our interpreter dropped out this morning. Myra added, You'd only be translating, not involved. Not involved? I looked at the whiteboard. Full of charts I scrub it around every morning. Full of plans I wasn't meant to read. Full of markers I replaced without a thank you. You need me to speak, but not to matter. Myra straightened. That's not what we're saying. No, I said. It's exactly what you're saying. Harlow adjusted his cufflink. So that's a no? I breathed in deep. That's a boundary. He didn't move. Just stared. You'd rather let this fall apart? Myra asked, voice tinged with disbelief. I tilted my head. You'd rather pretend I don't exist until I'm useful? Silence. Long. Stale. I'm not here to save a presentation, you. Wouldn't let me attend, I said, my voice low, steady. Something cracked in Harlow's expression. Not guilt calculation. Like he was reassessing the shape of the pawn in front of him. I'll call the embassy. See if they can send someone, he said. Standing abruptly. Myra muttered. That's going to take hours. I turned to leave. Wait, Harlow called. I stopped but didn't turn around. I didn't realize you were this intentional, he said. I let the words hang there. Heavy, every quiet man is, I replied, and I walked past the whiteboard, past the windows, past the people who couldn't decide if I'd insulted them or just reminded them I had a voice. Inside, something uncurled in my chest. Saying no felt like lifting a weight no one knew. I carried. Not all walls need to be knocked down. Some just need to hear you knock back. I'm sorry, who are you supposed to be? The man asked, tilting his head. I held the coffee tray closer to my chest. Just delivering the espresso, he raised an eyebrow. You work here? I nodded once. Yeah. He didn't bother, hiding the smirk. You're the janitor? I stared at him, then said evenly, No, I'm just the smartest person who touches this floor. His laugh came out louder than I expected. A few heads turned. "You've got fire. I like that." "Good," I said. "You'll need it when your pitch tanks without an interpreter." He blinked. "I thought you said you're not due? You want help or not?" He motioned toward the display table. "They're butchering our numbers. One of them keeps saying loan when he means investment. It's embarrassing." I walked over, ignoring the looks. I tapped the young woman presenting. "You're misusing the term. That's not a loan, it's equity financing." He's been trying to correct you for 10 minutes. The room stilled. "You speak French?" she asked. "I speak accuracy," I said. "It sounds the same in every language." Delacroix grinned. "You really do have fire." I didn't smile back. "I'm not here to impress anyone." Whispers floated behind me like fog. "Is that the janitor? Who even is he? How many languages does he speak?" A man stepped forward and asked, "Can you clarify the Russian delegate's concern? I don't think we understood." I nodded. "He said he's worried about IP theft. He's asking for a contract clause." Someone else added, "And the guy from Dubai, he keeps using a phrase I don't get." I exhaled slowly. "He's not insulting anyone. He's quoting a proverb. It means, if you don't show respect, don't expect it." They fell silent. Even the clicking of pens stopped. I saw them staring, some out of curiosity, some out of discomfort. One guy, Arjun, just looked stunned. I thought he was a temp. He muttered, "I wanted to tell him that people like me are always assumed to be temporary, disposable, replaceable, background noise," but I just stepped back and folded my arms. Delacroix clapped his hands together. "Well, you've saved the morning." "No," I said flat. "I cleaned up a mess I didn't make." Again. Myra, the HR rep, finally stepped in. "Noah, would you stay for the rest of the session?" I looked at her. "To do what? Speak for people who won't speak to me?" She didn't answer. Delacroix turned to me. "You belong in this room." I looked past him, at the eyes now on me like I'd grown extra limbs, some approving, some unsettled. None sure what to do now that the broom boy had a brain. "I've always been in this room," I said. "You just didn't look." He blinked once. "What do you want, then?" I swallowed the ache in my throat. "I want to stop proving I deserve to exist in a building I mop." His mouth opened, then closed, and for once, no one said a word. Harlow cleared his throat, adjusting the cuffs on his pristine button-down like the conversation needed dressing up. "We'd like to explore bringing you on as talent." I didn't move. "Now I'm talent?" He blinked. Yes. "With your language skills, composure under pressure, global awareness." "A week ago," I cut in, "I was a liability with a mop." Myra gave a tight smile, the kind that tried too hard. "We've all learned something this week." "Learned what?" I looked from her to Harlow. How not to assume the guy with the brown skin and the badge swipe is just there to empty bins. Denton, the legal guy in the corner, shifted in his chair. "We're here to make amends, Noah." I stared at the word as if it were printed on his forehead. Amends. Harlow tried again, softer now. "You've earned a different seat at this table." "No," I said. "I built my own seat." "You just noticed it." Myra leaned forward. "We were hoping we could share your story with the board, maybe the press. You're a symbol of—" "Careful," I said. "Finish that sentence." She hesitated. "Of how far we've come." I laughed once. "You mean how far I dragged you?" Denton cleared his throat. "Noah, from a legal standpoint, the company recognizes your contributions. We want to acknowledge that you want to brand my pain as progress," I said. "Spin it into something that makes your next brochure look inclusive." "That's not what this is," Harlow said. I met his eyes. "Then what is it? Because it smells like PR panic in here." Myra's voice dipped. "You're angry, rightfully, but wouldn't you rather be part of the change?" "I've been part of the change every time I swallowed your jokes, your silence, your suspicion. I changed things by surviving them." "Noah," Harlow began. I didn't let him finish. "The only reason I'm visible now is because your reflection was starting to look too white." No one spoke. The silence sat there, not guilty, just uncomfortable. Like a spoiled suit that didn't quite fit anymore. Myra finally whispered. We didn't know. You didn't ask? Denton scribbled something. If you want us to formally address the complaints, I don't want apologies crafted by a legal team. I want you to sit with what you did. Myra's voice cracked just slightly. You think we don't feel bad? No, I said. I think you feel exposed. Harlow let out a breath. You don't have to decide now. We're extending an offer for a role. Training, development, whatever path you want. So I can help the next brown kid skip the janitor closet? Hissa. Mouth opened. Nothing came out. I leaned back in the chair that didn't feel like mine, even though I'd earned every damn inch of it. You don't get to play hero in the story where I cleaned your mess. Myra clutched a tablet like it was shaking in her hands. Your resume? It was buried in HR's old system. You applied here twice I didn't blink, I know. Harlow turned toward me, brows drawn. You applied here before? Before the mop, before the badge, before the silence. Myra sounded small. You didn't. Look, I said, you saw what you wanted. Tailor-board seat, tailored nerves, cleared her throat. We understand this is upsetting. I kept my voice flat. Upsetting is when your coffee spills. This was erasure. Harlow stood. Up too fast. Noah, come on, this wasn't personal. I leaned forward. Every door that slammed in my face felt personal. Taylor tried the polished route. We're willing to do right now. You mean now that there's a spotlight? No, she said. Yes, I said. Myra spoke gently. We can investigate. Where the file went, how the system... Don't waste time fixing the folder, I said. Fix the filter. Taylor muttered to Harlow. This could hurt the brand. I turned to her. It already hurt me. She shut up. Harlow rubbed his face. I genuinely didn't know that you applied. You walked past me every day. I said, you nodded, you joked. You never asked who I was before the jumpsuit? Myra lowered her gaze. I don't have an excuse. You do, I said. It's just ugly. Harlow sat down slowly. If I go back reread your application, would you even remember why you said no? I asked. Or would it just be more convenient to call it a glitch? Taylor shifted. Is this going to become public? That depends, I said, on whether you treat me like a story or a symptom. Myra looked up. We were wrong. I didn't come here for confessions, I said. I came for truth. And, now? Harlow asked. I want the silence to end. Arjun caught up to me by the elevators, holding 2 coffees like a peace offering. Hey, Noah, right? I nodded but didn't stop walking. He rushed ahead, stepping into my path. Look, I didn't know. Back then, in the elevator. You. Mean when you bet I'd never left the state? He looked away. Yeah, I didn't let him off. You didn't know because you didn't care to ask? I thought you were just... He froze. I mean, you thought I was just the janitor. He winced. Yeah, I pressed the button for the top floor. And now? I mean, you speak like what? 5 languages? That's not the point. Then what is? That you only noticed me when someone else did. Later, in the break room, Maria was wiping down the counter. Her hands moved like she'd been doing it since before I was born. You speak French? She asked, without looking at me. I nodded. And Spanish, some Russian, she chuckled. They think we're invisible until we open our mouths. I leaned on the counter. You ever feel like even speaking isn't enough? Maria smiled. You showed them we all speak something. Not just words, patience, grit, grace. I swallowed the knot in my throat. She added, They see you now, but do they hear me? I passed Lena in the lobby. She waved me over. They're rewriting the hiring policy, she said. Adding language access, equity reviews your names on the draft. I stared at the paper she handed me. My name looked strange on official letterhead. Like it didn't belong. You changed things? She said. For real? I looked her in the eyes. No, I just reminded them we were here. I stepped into Harlow's office with my back straighter than usual, not out of pride. Out of clarity, he gestured to the chair across from his desk. Sit. Please. I didn't. Say what you need to say. His jaw clenched, but he kept his voice even. VP of International Communications. Title's yours. Full benefits. Starting now? I let the silence sit between us. He cleared his throat. You've more than earned it. Funny, I said. I earned it before you knew I existed. His eyes didn't flinch. I didn't see the whole picture. No, you just didn't think to look. He nodded slowly. I'm trying now. Are you offering me the position? I asked, or making yourself feel better? He leaned forward. Does it matter? It does to me. He tapped his pen twice against the glass table. What happens if you take it? I do the work I've always done, only this time you'll watch. He tilted his head. And if you don't? I shrugged. I still speak 6 languages. And hold 3 degrees. You're not the only office in the world. He tried to smile. You're sharp. I didn't return it. What happens when I stop surprising you? You'll still be respected. I raised an eyebrow. Even if I'm not your headline? He didn't answer. Then I'll consider it.